Joining me now from Dallas, Texas is the Reverend Tony Evans of Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship. He is an opponent of same-sex marriage, and we should point out he voted against Barack Obama in 2008. Reverend Evans, welcome. Let me just begin with straight up here to you. Will the embrace of same-sex marriage cost the president black voters come November?
Well, I think the issue is a big issue. The issue of the family is so critical to the African-American community. And since that community has grown up with a Christian worldview and understands that worldview to be a man and a woman, a husband and a wife, and that is a non-negotiable view from a biblical frame of reference, then I think that will concern many. Now, at the same time, that's not the only issue. So when African-Americans look at the issue, they will measure that against other concerns that they also have, but it's raising it to the front page.
Let's stay on the issue, and let me just get an answer to the question. Will it cost him votes in November?
Well, it could, because I can't speak for the whole community. I can speak for the fact that many will be concerned, and it could affect him.
Let's listen here to President Obama. He's putting this into a Christian perspective. Here he is.
The thing, at root that we think about is not only Christ sacrificing himself on our behalf, but it's also the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated.
The golden rule, we've all learned it, right, Reverend? Treat others the way you want to be treated. You're a Christian man. Does that resonate with you, what he said?
Well, the golden rule resonates with me, but not to contradict other things Jesus said. And Jesus said in Matthew 19 that marriage is to be between one man and one woman. So you don't use that rule to skip his institution. God defines what marriage is. Society is supposed to implement his definition. When it creates new definitions, it creates chaos. The saga of a nation is the saga of its families written large, and whoever owns the family owns the future. So we must fight for the family from a biblical standpoint, particularly if you say you're a Christian, Christ should have the last word.
I understand you're a man of God. You go by what is in the Bible, but then you have someone like Representative Barney Frank, an acknowledged gay member of Congress. He is speaking about the president embracing gay marriage. Here he is.
I think about 15-year-olds in school somewhere being picked on and bullied. Well, now the President of the United States has said, hey, you know what? You're as important as anybody else. You have the same worth as anybody else. That has an enormous impact.
So he's essentially saying, Reverend, that this stance will now help persuade people. Do you think that people in your community, and I know, as you point out, you cannot speak for an entire community, but just from your own opinion, do you think that you could be persuaded by the president making this defiant stand?
Well, I think the persuasion ought to go the other way. I think we need to work harder in persuading the president to reverse his reversal back to a biblical frame of reference, because it's a non-negotiable. God has spoken on this issue, and he hasn't stuttered. There are two answers to every question: God's answer and everybody else's is wrong when they disagree with him. He has been inextricably clear. This is not only hurtful to the cause of Christ and the cause of the faith, it's also hurtful to the well-being of society. I would agree. Bashing people, mistreating people is wrong.
How is it
hurtful? But we're not talking about that. It's an institution.
How is it hurtful to the well-being of society, in your opinion?
Well, first of all, when you look at the African-American community and how it's being decimated with the breakdown of the family, we need to get back to the family as it was intended to be, not create other nuances that are against God, because we got enough problems as it is within our community. In addition to that, when God created marriage, he created it not only for companionship, but for procreation. That can't happen unless it's a heterosexual union.
So when you talk
God had this thing all mapped out.
I'm listening to every word you're saying. When you say nuance, I can just hear some other folks saying nuance. Are you saying that, men and women, or men and women in a loving relationship, they can't help further strengthen the African-American community with love and children, et cetera? You say no.
They can't do it in a way that's acceptable to the Creator, because he says no. I'm only repeating what he says, and he has not offered all of these twists and turns everybody wants to have. We should love people, care about people, regardless of where they come from. But we're talking about an institution now. You cannot redefine God's institution without expecting that there are going to be breakdowns when you do that.
There also, Reverend Evans, seems to be this perception that black opposition to same-sex marriage is monolithic. And I'm just not sure that's true, because we've been calling for these polls today. And I just want to share this with you and our viewers. This poll, this shows acceptance of same-sex marriage is growing steadily among blacks, but it is growing. This is a Pew poll taken just last month, and you can see opposition to gay marriage. If we flip to the next one, 66%. That was 66 and 96. Here you have 49% now. So obviously it is growing, and it's not even a majority now. So you have 39% of blacks actually favoring gay marriage. And just one more thing I want to get in. This is a tweet from Newark, New Jersey Mayor Cory Booker, and he says he was asked on some sort of, to give a statement on the president's gay marriage announcement from yesterday. And so he tweets, I told him I'd give him one once I stopped dancing. So really my last question to you, Reverend, is do you fear being marginalized by your position that this opposition, this institution, this belief, because of what's in the Bible and the Creator, who you very much so fervently believe in, this opposition to gay marriage?
Oh, I'm not concerned about marginalization at all.
You're not?
I'm supposed to stand with him even if I'm in the minority, because I've got to stand before him, number one, and he has orchestrated government. Government is not a human institution. It's a divine institution that humans are to run on his behalf. When they create their own rules, then they become against the Creator and what he intended for government to do.
Pastor Tony Evans, thank you. Thanks for sharing your perspective. We really appreciate it. And now, a lot more to cover. Watch.